Okay, so for those of you that were in the last session, this is going to be more of a follow along session. The theory is always great, but you can always learn the theory at a later stage. You can always learn through YouTube tutorials from Google themselves, or pretty much anywhere across the internet. So I thought it would be best if I could take you through the best practices, what it takes to set up an account, the different campaign types, and a strategy that you could typically use for that. And then obviously one of the most important things with Google is the keywords. So keyword research will be the last thing that we cover in the session. But if you have any questions, please feel free to just leave them in the chat, and then we'll get onto those as soon as we can. Cool. Okay. So to create your first Google Ads campaign, you need to set up an account. The two go hand in hand. So we head over to ads.google.com, and here we can click on Start Now. If you already have an account, you can click on Sign In and use your own Google account. If you don't have one, you can click on Start Now, and you may find that you can get a 400 euro credit. In my case, it may be different on your side, but that's always quite nice to see. So if we click on Start Now, you won't see that. You'll go straight through to this. Okay, and here we're going to set up our campaign. So the first thing we need to do is tell Google, what is your business name? Now, there's two different aspects on what we want to do here. So the one is we want to put in our business name so that if someone searches for it, we can match ads to that. But also in some variations of the ad, our business name will show up. So you want to keep your business name there for brand awareness, but you want it to be the official business name. So if there's like a PYT Limited in the name, you want to keep that in as well, just so that it's your official name. So I'm going to be setting this up for ProfileTree today. So I'm just going to leave it as ProfileTree. Then we go next. Okay, now we need to put in our website. Now, you can put in your homepage, but in all advertising, we do not want to put in our homepage. The reason is, and I said this in the last session, people on the internet are lazy. So if they aren't given the information, then it's unlikely that you're going to get the result that you're hoping for. So if you send them to your homepage and they have to click around to try and find what it is that you're advertising, it's very likely that they're going to click off your website and not be interested. So what you want to do is send them to the most relevant page on your website. And it does say here below, consider what you're advertising and enter the most relevant page of your website. So if I go back to the ProfileTree page and we look at services, we'll go with copywriting again. We'll then take that link and put that link in. Okay, now because we put that link in, Google is going to scan the website and it's going to learn about the business. Essentially what it's doing here is it's looking at the keywords that are on your page and it's putting you into a certain category. This is just so that it knows when to bid against certain keywords and so on, so that it knows more about your business. If, for example, you're in the financial industry, you may find that keywords are a little bit more expensive. Google will be able to use that information to tell you if your bids are too low or too high. So now this is just making sure that you're clicking on the correct page. So we can just confirm that is the correct page and click on next. Okay, so now we need to choose what is our main advertising goal. So the first one is to get more calls. What this will do is it will optimize your ad by showing them only on mobile devices, and there'll also be a button where someone can call through to your business. You're allowed to put any number in there, and when they click on it, it will essentially cost the same as if they were to click on the ad. So if your cost per click is, let's say, £1, when someone clicks on the call button to phone you, you're also going to pay £1 for that phone call. Get more website sales and signups. This is going to drive people to your website. Get more visits to your physical location. This is going to advertise your location on Google Maps, and it's going to have a get directions button. So someone can get directions directly from your ad to your physical location. You would typically use this if you are a store where people come into your store to purchase products, or if you're like a restaurant, for example, where people would need to come in to your physical location. The last one is get more views on and engagement on YouTube. So yes, you can run ads on YouTube through YouTube ads, but it's essentially brings you back to Google ads. YouTube is owned by Google. So if you want to run ads on YouTube, this is what you would select. For this example, I'm going to go through website sales. If we do have some time at the end, I'll also go through YouTube videos. Okay, click on next. Now, when Google did scan the website and it pulled a bunch of keywords, it actually created an ad for us. So this is a suggestion ad where it's essentially saying, these are what we suggest based on what's on your website. You can change this. You can literally type in anything you want here and it will change your ad. Or you can select from the list below. So they didn't just give you these 3 headlines. They gave you a long list to choose from. Okay. You do have a character limit with this. So you have 3 headlines, which are in blue. These are 30 characters. Then you have your description. You have 2 description lines. These are 90 characters. So this is the bottom section here. So typically what you would do is you would go through and create your ad that people are going to see. And there's a couple tricks that you can use. What we do is with headline 1, we put it what we are advertising. So copywriting, we could put something a little bit, are you looking for good copy for a good copywriter? Something along those lines, but it's what we're advertising. Number 2, we can put information that just helps promote that. So we are professional copywriters or something along those lines. Experienced copywriter nearby, highly skilled, those sort of things in headline 2. Headline 3 is where you use brand awareness. So here's where you would put in your company's name. So I would go ProfileTree marketing agency because you want to use, agency, because you want to use as close to this 30 characters as possible. And I will explain that in just a bit. So you would do these 3 steps here, and that should pretty much be a good performing ad. Then with the description lines, you want to put information which obviously lends towards the product or service that you're selling. But in description line 2, you want to include a call to action in every single case. You do not want to not have a call to action. That is essentially visit ProfileTree today, call now, something along those lines. So whichever one you relate to best or you think works, you can select it. Once again, you can type out whatever you want here. Lastly, we have the call button. So if I just had to type a random number in here, okay, like that, we'll now have a call button on our ads. So you do not need to select the call option, because what that does is it only optimizes your ad through mobile devices. You can add it here as well. Just on a desktop, it will just have the number. It won't be clickable. So you won't be able to track if people phone you through seeing your number there. However, you can include it. If you don't want it, you can simply untick this and it goes away. Okay, next we have our keyword themes. Now we will get onto keyword research in just a bit, but when you see keyword themes, the word themes is the important term here. This is a very generic or broad term that you're going to use. So you're going to put your theme, which is copywriting, in here. You're not going to put a keyword that someone's searching for, because Google is going to say, for example, digital marketing. If someone searches for something related to digital marketing and Google thinks it's a good match, it's going to show your ad. So these are very generic terms that you're going to put in here. Marketing agency. So let's go through this. Marketing agency, that's not really something that it is what we do. It's not what we're focusing on here. Digital marketing as well, not brand. Blog is copywriting. So we do want blog. Email, not really. Events as well, not really. Now, what we can do is we can add new keywords here. So copywriting. And we can essentially select from the list of related terms over here, or we can select obviously the normal one. You can also say, I'm just going to say copywriter. You can also just press enter and then it will, if you select the last one, there we go. So you can also do that and then it will add it then. Next, we can choose from the suggested ones below by simply clicking on them. Anything that's related, we can simply click on them and they get added. What you will see is if I add too many, I'll get a warning like this. Says for best results, limit to 7 to 10 keyword themes. I recommend 5 keyword themes is more than enough. However, you can go between 7 and 10. 5, I feel, gets you the best results because it's more specific around what you are trying to advertise. So that's fine. That we don't want. That we don't want. That we don't want. Those all seem fine. Okay, so we can leave it like that. Then we can click on next. Okay, here's where we select our locations. So we want our ads to show up in the right places. If you, once again, are at a restaurant or you have people come into your store, you can put in your physical location and it will advertise to a radius around that location. You can then increase or decrease the size. If you want to advertise to an entire postcode, city, or region, you can simply type it in over here. Okay, and it will select all of that. As you can see, Belfast and Newtown Abbey are inside Northern Ireland, so they've been grayed out. We can just remove those. Okay, then we can click on next. Okay, now it's time to set your budget. Your currency should default to your location, but please ensure that your currency is correct because once you've created your account, you can't change your currency. You'll have to create a new account. So you would need to select the correct one, and then you can carry on. Okay, so over here we have a few suggested budgets, and these are daily average budgets. So this is how much Google's going to try to spend per day. Now, it's not guaranteed that you will spend this amount per day. However, it is guaranteed that you will spend this amount per month. So in terms of managing your budget, we want to look at the higher number over here, or the monthly max, instead of the daily average, because the daily average in some cases can spend twice as much per day if Google thinks you're going to get a conversion. It will manage it out over the month. So this is a more realistic number, and these are more realistic clicks for that as well. If you don't like what is being set out here, you can always enter in your own budget with the slider. And over here, you'll see typical competitors' budget. So this goes back to when they scanned your website and put you into a category. You may find that the financial industry, the typical competitors' budget starts over here and ends over here. In this specific industry, it's a little bit lower. So you can choose whatever monthly budget you're happy with and the estimated clicks you're happy with as well. Now, this is also a little bit of a trick by Google to try and get you to spend a little bit more. The analogy I like to use, or the story I like to tell, is that my father is an electrician, but he advertises on Google. However, he works for himself. So if he had to spend £11 per day and get 180 phone calls or clicks through to his company, essentially, he wouldn't be able to handle that amount of traffic coming through. It would be too much. So realistically, he can spend somewhere around £4, maybe even less, and get 50 a month, which is more in line with what he can handle, even though it's less than the typical competitor's budget. So realistically, this is more of Google trying to get you to spend a little bit more. What you should be looking at is how much you're willing to spend per month and how much your estimated clicks are going to be. Okay, so we'll just set this around 18. Okay, so now it's time to review the campaign to make sure that it's just right. So we've got our campaign name here. And if you were in the last session, we spoke about the naming convention. I like to put as much information into the naming convention as possible, just so that you don't get confused later on when you have multiple campaigns running and you have to dig in them to try and figure out what they are advertising. So we are advertising copywriting. And once again, we can say we're targeting Northern Ireland, English speakers, and this is a smart campaign. So a smart campaign that we're creating is essentially Google's going to take control of optimizations, where to show your ads, when to show your ads. It's more of a beginner campaign, and I will get into the campaign types in just a bit, but when you set this up, it's essentially a smart campaign. Okay, so we can review our campaign now. Our campaign goal is website traffic. The website that we're sending them to is this link. This is our business name. Then we have our ad text, location, keyword themes, and budget, which is all editable at this stage once again. So you can click on this and make a change, and then just save it, and then it will update. Okay, and then if you are happy with this ad that you are seeing here, you're happy with the amount that you're going to spend, you can then click next. And here you'll need to set up your billing information. So essentially you put in your credit card information, whatever it may be, and then you'll press submit and it will take you through to your account. Now, it won't charge you straight away, especially if you do have a credit like this one here. What happens is Google will charge you at 200 for the first couple charges will be 200 pounds or 30 days, whichever one comes first. And then after, if you've crossed that, it will go up to 500 pounds. So if you spend 500 pounds or 30 days, it will charge you 500 pounds. So those are the two differentiating factors. Generally, it's every 30 days. So cool. Then it will bring you into your campaign like this. And this over here will say pending, which means it's in review. You can then pause and activate it at any time. So you're welcome to pause and activate your campaigns whenever you feel that it's necessary, you can do that. Okay, so what I've done here is I've come into an account that we have set up, which is essentially just for training purposes with a bunch of campaigns that we've already set up. However, we did let one of the campaigns run for a very short period of time, just so that we have some metrics that we can look at. So what we'll see here is we have the time at the top, which we can adjust once again to any date that you want. You can make it September the 1st only if that's the date you want to look at. But once you select the date here, all of your metrics will adjust to be within that date range. So if we go down here to this campaign and we view the campaign, okay, this is how we would go about optimizing a specific campaign. So what do we see first? Well, we see that we've spent just over just under £50 on this campaign, and that's brought in 3 impressions. Impressions are every time someone sees your ad. So someone would have searched something, our ad would have been shown, that's an impression. You do not pay for impressions, you only pay for clicks. So out of those 3 impressions, we had 1 person click, and unfortunately, no one converted on the website from there. What we can do is we can actually view this a little bit further. So if we click on impressions, we can then see that 2 of them were on desktop and 1 of them was between the ages of 25 and 34. So we can actually kind of, once you have quite a few numbers coming through, you can figure out who your target audience is based on their age and the devices they're using. We get similar results for clicks as well. So we can see that it was on Google search that they clicked on the ad. However, if we showed an ad on YouTube, Google Maps, or Gmail, it could show up there as well and give us metrics on that. Lastly, conversions give us a lot of information. These conversions come from Google Analytics. So you will be prompted to connect your Google Analytics account to your Google Ads account, and then your conversions will carry over from there. So manage your Google Analytics goals will essentially be where you set up your conversions. In our case, pages per visit and contact us were the conversions that we're using. So here's the insights. We can see that 0% are new visitors from the ad. The average time spent on the website was also 0 seconds, and the average number of pages viewed was 0. Now that's because we haven't got any conversions, but we can get information from this when that does come through. Okay, so that's how you can essentially report on that. But let's say we want to make a change. We want to get better performance from our campaign. Well, here we have the search term reports and the keyword themes. So the search term report will give you a list of search terms that people have typed into Google and your ad has shown up against that. So you may find some of the craziest things that people search show up here, but your ad has matched to those. So you want to control that just a little bit. So to do this, we can click on Edit, Here we have the search term report, and this will list all of the search terms that people had searched for. At the moment, we have ProfileTree, which had 0 clicks and 0 spend. But if ProfileTree wasn't related to what we were trying to advertise, or it's something we didn't want to show ads against at all, what we can do is select it and add it to negative keyword themes. So now if someone searches for ProfileTree, Google knows to not show an ad against this because it's wasting money or it's not related to your business. You would have a much longer list if you are running ads, but you'll be able to go through them and see which ones are spending the most and not performing well. You can then add them as negative themes. To manage these, we go to negative keyword themes. Here's the one we've just added. We can edit this and then either remove that or we can add new ones here. So if there's something on another campaign that you've noticed is not right, or it's something you don't want to match against, you can then come and add in negative themes here as well. Okay, so we have that there. And then the same thing goes for keyword themes, except here we can just add and remove keyword themes. Let's say, for example, marketing agency is matching to a lot of search terms, but people are looking for social media. We can remove that altogether and add in new ones if we wanted to. Remember what I said is we want to keep this around about 5. So if you are adding new ones, try and remove at least 1 or 2 that aren't really related, just so that you can be more specific about what it is that you're targeting if you are making a change. Okay, next to that, we have the location report. So this is where your ad showed up. In most cases, if I select Northern Ireland, it's going to say Northern Ireland. However, if more than one person clicks on your ad in a different location, so for example, Lisbon and Belfast, then it will break that down a little bit further. Okay, so we have Northern Ireland. Now, I do want to take you over to the location settings. In the location settings, we can adjust where we are targeting. Okay, so once again, Northern Ireland, but we can take this a step further and we can actually exclude locations now. So we currently have that there. What you can do is you can exclude any sort of location inside where you're targeting. There's no point in us excluding the south of Ireland because we're not showing ads there anyway. So what I can do is I can say Lisbon and select it. And as you'll see, it puts a red circle around Lisbon. So anyone in Lisbon is not going to see these ads anymore. The reason you might do this is you may find that you have a lot of business in Belfast, but a lot of people in Londonderry are clicking on your ads, but not actually performing the conversion. So you can then exclude that location to try and manage your budget a little bit. Okay, next we have the ads over here. So we can edit this and we can actually create new ads. I would always recommend having at least 3 ads running at the same time. What this will do is it will allow you to see which ads are performing better. It will give Google variation to show multiple different ads at different times. And the one that performs better will guide you in the future. So you may find that in this case, we have marketing and web design agency, whereas another ad, we just have marketing agency. And this one performs better. Then we know going forward, we need to include and web design in the headline because that's what people are interacting with. So you can write another ad. The way of doing it is exactly the same as we've done before. It's the same as if you had to edit the ad. What we can do now, which we weren't able to do earlier, is we can actually add images to our ads. So in a smart campaign, Google has control over where to show your ads. And in some occasions, that may require an image to be shown. So you have the option to show up to 3 rectangle and up to 3 square images with your ads. You can also add up to 3 logos. Generally, just 1 logo works fine. But I would always recommend doing this because it adds variation. It allows your ads to show in multiple places. So instead of just showing on the search page, you can show on partner websites as well. The landing page, okay, so we only have 1 landing page per campaign, which is this one. We can edit this and adjust it to another one, but we can't send them to two different pages, we'll have to then create a new campaign for that. Lastly is the business info. So this is your business name, and you can add your call button over here if you wanted to at a later stage. So, okay. Next, we have the budget and ad schedule. So the budget works exactly the same as we did before, where you can enter in your own budget here or select from an option there. We do have an ad schedule now. So you may find that if you're a restaurant, I like to use that a lot, I apologize. If you're a restaurant that takes bookings, there's no point in showing ads at midnight because you're not going to be able to take that booking at midnight. So you'll only show your ads during business hours. What you can do is you can edit this. Sorry, at the moment it's showing all day on all of these days. I can edit this and I can choose custom hours. And then I can select the custom hours that I want to show ads. So I can set my ads to run from 8 o'clock to 8 o'clock or 10 o'clock every single day. And I can go through. Then I know that that's when my ads are going to run. And I can, once again, control my budget, which you'll find is the biggest thing in Google Ads. It's just controlling where Google spends your money. So things like your location, the search terms, and this ad schedule are going to be the biggest factors that come into controlling when you spend money on Google. Okay, so that covers the optimization section of this. Okay, this is a smart account, which essentially means that most of it is going to be simple and you're going to have setups like this. If I go back to all campaigns, you can see that all the campaigns are pretty much the same. If you wanted to take it a step further, you do have the option to click on Tools and Settings, and then, excuse me, if you click on Tools and Settings, okay, it's disappeared. I apologize, it does happen. But the last button here will say Switch to Expert Mode. So if you switch to Expert Mode, your account will look slightly different. It will look like this, which can be a little bit intense, but it essentially just gives you access to every single level of the campaign. So over here, you can create different campaign types. You can have different strategies running through. But for most small businesses, this works perfectly well. You can run different campaigns. You can control your budget very specifically. You can show ads at the right place and at the right time. Expert mode is typically used for agencies that are running slightly larger campaigns. But what I will show you for this is the different campaign types that are available in expert mode. So if I click on new campaign over here, once again, we have to select our campaign objective. Now, our campaign objectives are slightly different here, but what this does is it guides you down the path of which campaigns you can use. So for example, if I had to choose sales as my objective and then click on continue, you can see that I have 6 different campaign types that I can use. However, if I go create a campaign without a goals guidance, I now have 9 different campaign types that I can use. So the objective will guide you in the right direction. Now, I'm just going to run you through the different campaign types here. And sort of a strategy that you would use. So the first thing we'll see is the search campaign. So if I had to search something in Google, let's just say something random like welding machine. The first thing that shows up over here is a search result. And if it says ad, that's a search ad. So it essentially looks the same as the search results right at the bottom, except someone has paid for this to get to the top of the page. Okay, so a search ad is when someone searches for something and you show them an ad. Next to that, we have a performance max, which I will come back to. We have the display campaign. So a display ad uses images and sometimes videos as well. And this will show your ad across the internet, not on Google. So if someone has allowed Google to advertise on their website, if they've designated a block on their website, and they've signed up for AdSense, then Google will show an ad in that location if it's relevant for the person on the website at the time. So this is what you can use to show ads basically anywhere on the internet, but we typically use this for remarketing purposes. Next, we have a shopping ad. So if you sell products, for example, welding machines, a shopping ad will show up at the top here, and it's essentially got an image, the name of the product, the price, who's selling it, and then if you click on it, it will take you directly to that product on the website, and you can make the purchase of the product. Video, this is for YouTube as well. So if you want to show ads on YouTube, the ones that show up just before the video that you can skip after 5 seconds, if you select this, you'll be able to do that. App, this will advertise your app on the search page as well as on the Google Play Store. So if you have an app that is available on Play Store, you can put it in the sponsored section. Smart, this is the one that we have just set up. If you click on this, it will take you through that same process of choosing one of the 4 objectives and going through that process. Local, this is your location ad. So you'll advertise on Google Maps, and it will also have get directions in the search results. Discovery, so discovery campaigns are essentially for brand awareness. These tend to be the most expensive ad types, and I will show you why. If I go over to YouTube really quickly, this first block at the top here is an ad. So the reason this is so expensive is because if I'm trying to run an ad in that specific position, but some company in a completely different industry is also trying to, I have to then compete against every single industry. So you'll find that financial industries, retail industries, they tend to take up that spot quite often because they have more budget to spend. So if you are wanting to show your ad in that specific location, it's not just that one, there are multiple, but in that specific location, you are going to have to spend quite a lot on this. And that's why I said it's typically for brand awareness, because you can't really do much with it anyway. You just have an image and some text. Okay, so let's go through, Performance Max. So Performance Max is a new campaign type that they've just brought out. At the moment, it's still in testing. They were testing it for a while, and they say that they're not, but I know that they are. Google's always testing. Performance Max is essentially search, display, shopping, and video all in one campaign. So you set it up to display, search, display, and shopping, and Google will decide when to show your ad. You do have some control, so you can lean towards shopping, you can lean towards display, but I tend to recommend not using it just yet, because what you find is that display and YouTube tend to bring in a lot of traffic. So more traffic than you would ever see in a search campaign. And what this does is it skews your cost per conversion. So you have a lot more traffic coming through and you're paying for all of that. But out of that massive traffic that's coming through, not many people are converting. So typically what we would do for a strategy is we would start with a search campaign. The search campaign allows you to use keywords that people are physically looking for, and then you have the product or service to offer them. That way you can gather all that data when they click on your ad and go to your website. You can gather that data and you can remarket them. So essentially show them ads based on web pages that they're interested in, or certain products they may have clicked on, and you can show them those ads in display as well as in video campaigns. So this is why the expert mode is a little bit more advanced than the smart mode, whereas the smart mode, you're essentially doing outreach, you're telling people about your product, you're letting Google take control, whereas the expert mode allows you to gather that data and then remarket people through display. Pretty much anywhere, really. You can also remarket through search, but typically it's display and video. Okay, so those are the different campaign types. If you do have any questions on those, please leave them in the chat. What I am going to do is I'm going to jump over to the keyword planner, which is probably the most important thing that you're going to go through with your Google Ads journey, because you'll find that keywords is generally the cheapest way and the easiest way to get from people looking for your product to actually purchasing your product, because you'll use keywords in every single campaign. Okay, so to do this, you can click on Tools and Settings and then go to Keyword Planner. If I go here, it's the last one, Keyword Planner. Or you could just search Google Ads Keyword Planner and it will take you directly to here. Okay, so this is essentially where Google's going to pull all of its knowledge out and give you information on your keywords. So if you want to discover new keywords, you click over here and you have the option to start with a keyword and then Google will tell you what's related to that. So if I go copywriting, just back onto copywriting, okay, now Google's going to look for everything related to that and give me information on that. I can also enter a site to filter out unrelated keywords. So I can put in my website here and it's only going to pull out keywords related to my website. This can be a little bit restrictive because in some cases, people may not have their SEO ranking as high as they would like. So I tend to not include that. However, you can just put it in there and it's just going to put more restriction on that. Okay, what we can do then is click on Get Results. Okay, and now Google is looking at the United Kingdom, which we can edit. English on Google over the last year, last 12 months. And it's bringing out everything that is related to copywriting. It's also telling us the average monthly searches, the competition, so how many people are using this keyword. And then we want to look at the top of range, top of page bid, low range. So this is typically how much you're going to pay for this keyword to show up at the top of the search page. The high range, it's very unlikely that you're going to pay that much. So I tend to tell people, keep that in mind, but don't pay too much attention to it. It's unlikely that you're going to pay that amount. In most cases, it's going to be the lower end. This is to get to the top of the page. Okay. So what we can do here is we can click on this and then it will sort everything by average monthly searches. And we can see, okay, well, copywriting gets 10,000 to 100,000 average monthly searches, but the competition is low and the cost is relatively low as well. So there's a very good chance that if we use this as a keyword, our ads will show quite high. Then we can filter down as well, freelance copywriter, writing, copywriting course, SEO copywriting, and we have all this information to help us, help guide us in the keywords that we select. You can then download this over here, and you can download as a CSV or a Google Sheet. It will essentially just take this information and put it on a Google Sheet for whenever you need it. If you need it at a later stage, you can always just copy and paste these keywords into your campaign from the Google Sheets. Okay, let's say you've launched a new product or new service like copywriting, but you're not too sure about what people are going to search. So you're not sure what the new keyword is or the first keyword is that people are going to search. Well, you can always start with a website. So what this is going to get you to do is put in a link to a website. And what you can do is put in your new page that you've just launched or your new product page up there, and you can put it in here, and then you can choose to either use the entire site or this page specifically, and then get results. So now Google's actually going to look at your page only and pull keywords that are related to your specific page. Now, the reason why this is important and why you do need to do this option as well as the other option is that the user journey is the number one thing that Google looks at. Okay, so Google will give your ad a quality score. So it will say, okay, does what this person is searching for, okay, copywriting, match to the keyword that you have, which is copywriting, which then matches to the ad that you're displaying. So do you have copywriting in your ad? And then when they land on the landing page, does the landing page include that keyword as well, copywriting? So if a user journey matches the whole way, you'll get a very good quality score. So the quality score is out of 10. And in your account, you can actually view this. So if your quality score is 10, it doesn't matter how much you're willing to pay. If your quality score is better than someone else's, your ad will be shown above theirs. So you will not So you can compete against the bigger brands. For example, if I started a shoe brand and I try to run ads against Nike because they're also selling shoes, if my quality score is better than theirs, I can show ads above them regardless of how much they're willing to pay. So this is why this is important, because this pulls keywords from your website, and you can match these keywords to your ad, to your website, and then the user journey will be a lot smoother or a lot better, so your quality score will be higher. Okay, so went off on a bit of a tangent, but essentially you put in your link to your website there, you get your results, and now you see that there are 674 results from that page alone. We can look at the average monthly searches, 1,000 to 10,000 searches for digital marketing agency. The competition is medium. And as you can see by the competition being medium, the cost is quite high per click. You also have this in account status. So these are currently not in the account. So I could possibly add this one, which has a lot of searches. The competition is low and the cost is actually quite high, but you can obviously capitalize on that. Okay, so then once again, you could download those and then use those in your campaign. Cool. So that's your keyword research. There is a little bit more in it. So you can go through the forecast and you can create a keyword plan. Typically, that does take a lot of time, and I recommend we steer away from it because I'd rather have you spend more time on creating your campaign than planning your keywords. What we're going to use this for is just pulling out the keywords as well as the information, and then selecting the keywords which we know are going to perform well, and not just saying, oh, these ones are searched for the most. We say, okay, well, this is searched for the most, but it's medium competition, whereas this is searched for the same amount, but it's low competition. So we'd rather use these ones instead of the top one. And then you can download that and save that on a Google Sheet and go through that at a later stage. But that's essentially keyword research. And what you should be doing is this first. So you do keyword research and then you go and build your campaign with those keywords in mind. Okay, so we do have a bit of time. Does anyone have any questions or anything we want to go over? If not, I will go through setting up a YouTube ad, because YouTube is one of the cheapest ads to run, and it does well for brand awareness as well as people coming through to your website.
No questions at the moment, so I think YouTube would be brilliant to see, especially with all this focus on video. And again, yeah, as you say, cheap is good. So if we can reach more clients, that would be brilliant. Yeah, just to see.
Yeah, so I'll show you now how to go through the YouTube creation process. Okay, so we select this one, and it's quite nice because it gives you information along the way. So I'm just going to pull this onto the other page, just so I can search for a video. I'm going to promote myself and what the videos I make here. Sorry about that. Okay, so what we can do here is that we can select on get more views and engagements on YouTube. We can then click on next. And as you can see, the setup is slightly different, but remember, it's going to ask you a question every step of the way. So do we want to drive video views and traffic to the website, or do we want to get engagement on our channel? So let's go with traffic to the website. Then what we need to do is paste a video from YouTube. Okay, so your video has to be uploaded onto YouTube. It doesn't need to be public. It can be private or unlisted. You just need that link to go in here so that you can select it. You can also select any video on YouTube that you want. So it can be someone else's video. It can be literally anyone's video. In most cases, you are paying for it, so you'd want it to be your video. But you do have the possibility of selecting any video that is out there. So we have this video here, which is how to move from Universal Analytics to Google Analytics 4. As I paste it in there, you can see that it pops up here with the thumbnail, as well as the videos over here. But it's also telling me that videos that are longer than 3 minutes don't usually perform well. So that would be my next thing to tell you, is that we want to keep it around about 3 minutes. I would say 30 seconds, to be honest. And if you could get the information across in the first 5 seconds before they skip the ad, you will see wonders. Because that is generally, people have to watch 5 seconds and then they can skip. If you can get the information or capture their attention in the first 5 seconds, it doesn't really matter how long the rest of the video is. Okay, so we put that in there. Now we need to put the landing page we want to send people to. So you want to make sure it's a relevant landing page. Sorry. Okay, there we go. We can select the button over here, which is this button, which says visit. Okay, so if I clear that, we'll get a bunch of options, which we can choose from. So choose the one that's most relevant to you. Then we have a headline, which unfortunately is only 15 characters. So we can only say something like switch now, or you could put in your brand name if you wanted to. I would use another call to action. So like I've done here, just to get them to click on the ad. Your ad should have all the information anyway. Okay, next. Okay, so here we can select our locations. We can add locations here. But what's nice is we see an estimated weekly performance. So we can see how many impressions we're going to get per week, how many views we're going to get per week, as well as the average cost per view. And as you can see, this is one of the cheapest methods of actually advertising, because it's going to cost you 1 penny to show the ad to someone, which essentially a return on that, depending on the price of your product, could be massive. We can also select our language here. Please select your language in all cases. You don't want to leave it without a language, because what would happen is it might show it to people who speak Chinese or Indian and they won't understand it, and you'll be paying for that view. So make sure you select in the right language as well. Okay, next here we can select our demographics. So we can leave gender as it is. We can also leave parental status as it is, unless you need to change it. I do recommend, though, is we want to, with the age, we want to remove unknown, and we also want to remove 65 plus. 65 plus is pretty much anyone from 65 to over 100 years old that can use YouTube. So that's possibly a 30-year group, which could typically be quite expensive compared to the rest over here. So I recommend switching 65 plus off unless it's completely necessary. Okay, and the reason we switch unknown off is because some kids or children's videos are suggested as unknown. So you don't want to show ads on children's videos. So we untick the unknown section. Okay, now we need to choose our audience. So we can keep the interests as broad as possible, which essentially YouTube is going to look at the video and see what the video is about, and it's going to put it in a specific category. So if it's about marketing, it's going to put it in the marketing category. If it's about finance, it's going to put it in the finance category, and it's going to show your ad to pretty much anyone that's interested in that. If you want to reach a specific audience, here you can choose that audience. So you can say you're looking for movie lovers that are business travelers and travel buffs, and they are shopaholics as well. So you can essentially build out an audience here of people that are interested in your specific product. You can select just one, or you can select multiple if you wanted to, but you'll see how this adjusts over here. So if I go avid investors, you should see a change, very slight change at the top end there. Actually, it didn't change at all. But yeah, you can go through and select a couple, and it should change now. No. Okay. Well, you guys, please just trust me on that one, that it will change if you adjust your audience, but you can get your audience size over here. Okay, then we can scroll all the way down and click on next. Here we select our budget. This is a daily budget, and it is likely that you will spend this per day. It's not going to carry over till the next day, unless you selected end dates. Okay, but still in most cases, it is very likely that it's going to spend that amount. What will happen is it will get towards the end of the day and it will just start showing your ads to as many people as possible if it hasn't reached that amount. But Google is quite good at breaking it out throughout the day. Okay, so if you're happy with that, you can move on to the next one. Okay, here we can review our campaign. So we can see our campaign name. Once again, we can change this, and I recommend using whatever naming convention works for you, but put as much information into it as possible. So switch to UA4, UK video campaign. You can edit your landing page. You can edit your location, language, demographics, interests, and budget as well. Then you can click on next. Okay, and just like that, your video will be up. You see how it says pending. What it's doing is it's reviewing your video that you've uploaded, and if your video is it passes the review to go up, it should take about 20 minutes. It can take up to a full working day, like it says over here, so a full 24 hours. But typically it does start running within an hour. You can always pause this if you wanted to. But you'll see here how the metrics are slightly different. So this is views instead of clicks, and this is website visits instead of conversions. But you can edit these as well, just like you could in the last one. You can add an ad schedule, you can adjust your budget, your ads, your location, language, demographics, and your interests as well. So everything is completely editable, easy to use, easy to find. And if you saw the cost was pretty much the cheapest out of all the ad types. So I always recommend that companies at least have one video ad running at a time.